Spring is here. At least, it really feels that way to me. It's no longer dark when I leave for work. Spring flowers have appeared everywhere, and it feels like life is rushing back into the world around me. It's amazing what a small change in temperature and daylight can do. I feel like an entirely new human. Now feels like the time to be setting goals and intentions for the season ahead. Back in December, I made a video about what I was doing this year instead of New Year's resolutions. My aim was to try some foundations. Simple, small things that I could do, basically just to keep me ticking over through the winter. Now that it's spring, I feel like I have the energy and the motivation to set some proper goals. I mentioned in my previous video 3 big but really quite vague goals that I have for this year. Climb harder, buy a house, and build this YouTube channel. My foundations were supposed to be the smallest possible step that I could take in the right direction towards that. Foundation 1 was to walk home from work, only when it wasn't raining, just to keep my base level activity from really bottoming out through the winter months. Frankly, this has been a raging success. Aside from a few days where I had somewhere else to be after work or it was absolutely hammering it with rain, I've walked home really consistently over the past 2 months. As of the time of this recording, there have been 5 days where it was raining and 5 days where I had somewhere else to be, whether that was to catch a train or to go meet a friend, and I just didn't have time to walk home. Not only has it kept me moving consistently, but I've also really enjoyed the time to decompress between work and home, something that I haven't had in a long time because I've always worked so close to where I live. I feel like this has really kept me more active than I usually am in January, which was exactly the point. Foundation 2 was to check my bank balance every day just to keep on top of my financial position, with the intention of then buying a house later in the year. This was really helpful, but not in the way that I expected. More than anything, I feel like I just spent less money in the last 2 months for the fact that I was constantly looking at how much money I had and how much money I had been spending. I think moving forward, I'm going to make an effort to check my bank balance once every couple of days, just to generally keep on top of my financial position and make better decisions. In terms of the wider goal of buying a house, to be honest, I've been struggling with quite a lot of mental overwhelm lately, so the house hunt situation has been kind of on the back burner. Foundation 3 was to put Fridays aside with the intention of then hopefully using that for YouTube stuff. What can I say? Everyone has bad ideas. I don't have them very often, but I'm not immune. On the face of it, I absolutely nailed this foundation. I very successfully kept every Friday in the whole of January and all of February completely free in my calendar. What I didn't do was then use those Fridays in any kind of productive or meaningful way. Turns out that having an entire day free with no plan and no appointments is not something that my brain appreciates. I won't bore you with the details of just how many Fridays I spent frozen on the sofa scrolling through YouTube. So, now that I feel like a real human again, it's time to set some proper goals. Full disclosure here, I've never been super structured in any kind of goal setting, so this is one big experiment for me. At the risk of sounding completely ridiculous, I'm going to try one of those SMART targets that everyone has been banging on about since I was in secondary school. Having looked up what SMART actually stands for, each goal should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. I really feel like some of those repeat themselves and they just wanted to make it sound like a cool word, but there we go. Obviously, for all of them, the attainable part is up for debate. We'll find out as we go along whether I attain them. The relevant part is that it's my life and I want these things to happen, so they are relevant to me. Right, here goes nothing. Goal number 1, climb harder. More specifically, to climb any outdoor 7A boulder by the end of June. The logic for the deadline here is just based around the climbing season being mostly before the real heat of the summer kicks in. With this goal in mind, I've actually started a training plan over the last couple of weeks just to give myself a bit more structure to my sessions. It's also not something I've ever tried before, so I'm intrigued to see how I find it. We're heading to France for climbing over Easter, and so I've got a few climbs over there picked out that I want to go and have a look at, have a little play around on. and then I can see where I'm at and adjust accordingly heading into the end of April and May. Goal number 2, buy a house. I feel like that's as specific as I can make that one. In terms of timings, the aim is to have an offer accepted by the end of September. Hopefully, that would mean that we'd be able to move in by the end of the calendar year, so it would happen in 2026. I'm aware that we need to maintain a certain level of flexibility with that one, because these things never go to plan and it's not entirely on us or our plan how the timings run. I certainly won't be buying a house that I'm not happy with just to meet some deadline that I made up. Goal number 3, more YouTube. The goal is to publish 12 long-form YouTube videos by the end of 2026. Given how badly this foundation went, I've kind of adjusted my plan on this one. Instead of leaving massive blocks of time open for me to end up completely overwhelmed and not do anything, I've decided to dedicate smaller chunks of time to specific tasks that I can then focus on in amongst the rest of what's going on in my life. On my days off, I'll be driving my husband to work so that I'm up, dressed and out of the house at a reasonable hour, which is something that I really struggled with on all of those big blank Fridays. I'm also saving up for a laptop so that I can work on videos from anywhere. I'm definitely someone that works better out of the house than I do at home, and not having to share the desktop computer that we have with my husband will hopefully mean that I get more work done in the evenings. 12 videos a year is in theory 1 per calendar month. The sharper among you will have noticed that this is my first video of the year and it is already March. So that is in fact 11 videos in 41 calendar weeks. In my enthusiasm for spring, I have made the potentially devastating decision to add in some extras. So here are 3 more bonus goals that are not particularly linked to the previous 3. Bonus goal number 1. I want to drive home and see my family in the next 2 months. Relevant background information here is that I live in Sheffield, my family lives in South Wales, and I only passed my driving test last September. As of right now, I'm yet to take the car on the motorway, so this is actually kind of a big one for me mentally, even though it seems like quite a small thing on paper. Bonus goal number 2 is a birthday craft project. It'll be my 30th birthday in May, and I've had an idea for a really special project for myself in the run-up to that time. It'll be a good excuse to go through old memories and hopefully make something that I can keep for many years to come. Bonus goal number 3 is to climb 30 3-star boulders in the Peak District. This is counterintuitively a kind of complementary goal to the 7A goal. There are so many excellent boulders out there, and living so close to the Peak District, I really want to make the effort this season to get out and find them and enjoy them. There's a good chance that in the process of trying some of these climbs that I might end up climbing harder grades than I've ever climbed before, but it's really not the point of the goal. Any and all time spent outside on rocks is beneficial to my climbing and is part of why I love the sport in the first place. My husband is also on board with this one as an excuse to get out and try new areas, places we haven't been before, so it'd be nice to have this kind of shared goal between us. There you go. Those are my goals. I know that probably no one cares, but just the process of thinking about this and making this video has really given me some clarity on what I want to do this year, and hopefully will help me get there. Who knows? Maybe it'll even work. If you have any goals for this year that you've been thinking about, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.